Well, I have a bunch of thoughts about the Occupy movement and about what happened a year ago. When I went down to speak at Sproul Plaza, I had just heard that somebody had been killed by a police officer, presumably on the campus. Tensions were running very, very high, even notwithstanding that killing. Students were very concerned that their encampments, their tents were going to be taken down. It was very unclear what the campus police were going to be doing. The administration had not had a very clear plan at that point, and the faculty were very concerned. I didn't even know how many students were going to be out there. We did it on Sproul Plaza mainly because that was the tradition. Mario Savio had been there and had spoken there, and we thought, given that there was an Occupy event, that would be the most appropriate place to do it. I was very surprised to find a large number, thousands and thousands and thousands of students there. Now, in retrospect, the Occupy movement had and has had a huge effect, raising public awareness and consciousness about inequality in this country, the concentration of income and wealth and power at the very top, the necessity of dealing with rising costs such as college fees and tuitions, making higher education increasingly out of the reach of many middle class, lower middle class, working class families. Inequality, raising taxes on the rich, the importance of investing in education. These became very central to the Obama campaign. So to that extent, the Occupy movement has been enormously important, enormously successful. And then the question is, what now? Where is it and where is it going? On the where is it, I have to confess some question marks in my head. I just don't know. The energy, the commitment, the frustration that was there a year ago is still there. The economy hasn't got that much better. Fees have gone up, tuitions have gone up across the country in public higher education. Big corporations from Wall Street are as powerful, if not more powerful, and more concentrated in terms of their power and wealth than they were even a year ago. So whatever whatever forces came together to animate the Occupy movement a year ago are still very much there. And I get reports, scattered reports from all over the country, that Occupy is still very much with us, and the energy, commitment, enthusiasm is still there. But because the most visible aspects of Occupy, that is the actual occupations, the tents, are gone, it's just very hard to tell. As I said a year ago, most movements take many years to reach fruition. In fact, many movements are not even clear for years about the specific targets of what they want to change. Movements are born of frustration and a knowledge that there's a gap between an ideal of what we all want and the everyday reality we live in. But whether you're looking at the civil rights movement or the campaign movement for women's suffrage, or before that, the movement against the slave trade in England, whatever movement you want to look at over the last 200 or 300 years of American history, or in European history, or in history generally, those centuries of movements show us that movements come from a gap between the ideals of a society or a people and the everyday reality they live in. That cognitive dissonance is hard to live with, and eventually it bubbles up in the form of protests, frustration, anger, demonstrations, and those can coalesce into a long-term political movement. That's really the question in my mind. Will Occupy turn into a political movement that is organized and mobilized with enough discipline? And discipline is the word. You can't really have an effect on politics and on the structure of power unless there is some discipline. Will Occupy be able to organize and mobilize and gain the discipline it needs to be a real, practical, powerful political force in America. Again, the jury is out. I don't know. We may not know for years. But all I do know is how important it has been in setting the agenda.